Welcome to Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center. We are a member of Unity Worldwide Ministries, and you can find us locally at 350 North Orchard Avenue, right here in Vacaville, California. If you are a first-time viewer or returning to our broadcast, welcome home.
Let us pray. Let us take a moment to honor the power and presence that is God, to honor the infinite wisdom and love that guides us through each and every day. Let us go inward and in our hearts know our oneness with God and with each other. And let us be grateful for the love of God, the wisdom of God that strengthens us, that guides us, that enfolds us. And we see all people in all circumstances strengthened and guided and enfolded by the wisdom and love of God. And for all of this we are grateful and we say thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
My name is Bobby Fortner, and it is a privilege and pleasure to be your service assistant today. Please hold in your mind a person or persons who are near and dear to your heart, and then hold in your heart these words for them. You are a beautiful child of God, perfect in every way. You are loved unconditionally, just the way you are. And if that's true for our loved ones, it is also true for ourselves. So let's take that in for ourselves and together. I am a beautiful child of God, perfect in every way. I am loved unconditionally, just the way I am. Please remember that our prayer chaplains are here to pray for any reason with you. If you would like prayer, please email Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center at unityvv@pacbell.net, and a prayer chaplain will get in touch with you to pray. We are glad that you have joined us today, and we thank you for your presence, and we thank you for supporting our broadcast. If you would like to make a donation, here are a few ways to give to Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center. We give in love because we love to give.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Our announcements this week. We have a Joyous Abundance Version 2 class beginning this Tuesday, June 14th, from 6 to 7:45 p.m. via Zoom, and Reverend Dalia Adams will be teaching the class. This is an opportunity to deepen your understanding of who you are and what you can manifest. Please sign up by emailing us at unityvv@pacbell.net or call Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center at 707-447-0521. Now we invite you to take into your minds and hearts the powerful truth of our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, God the Good.
I stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
I stand for love, I stand for peace, I stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
You know our world is in great pain. She needs our loving care again. But there are those who fail to see what we have done and what we need.
There is a cost for every act, and now there is no turning back. We burn a bridge, we bang a drum. It's time to rise, the time has come to stand for love,
to stand for peace, to stand for joy and for release,
for
what is beautiful and true, to stand for hope, to stand for you. If you're thinking it's not urgent, that we've got more time to kill, if I'm not the one who'll change things, then for heaven's sake, who will? So I will move and I will climb that mountain one step at a time. And I won't be swayed, I will not stop until we've made it to the top, where we will stand for love and peace. We'll stand for joy and for release, for what is beautiful and true. We'll stand for hope, we'll stand for you, for what is beautiful and true. I stand for hope, I stand for you.
Welcome again to Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center. My name is Reverend Dalia Adams, and I am so honored to be with you today. We've been talking about the mystery that is the truth of our being, the mystery that is the truth of what God is. And we've been talking also about how looking at the mystery brings up question after question after question as we go deeper into understanding and knowing truth. Recently, we've been focusing on the power that is within us, the power that is of God that moves through us, and how that can be true at the same time we can be immersed in this human experience and all the challenges that it offers. There is a tremendous power that is of our mind. We have the power to create our experience, to create ourselves through the power of our mind, but that in and of itself is another mystery. What is the mind? And how is it that our minds tap into the mind of God and express that divine presence? We've been talking recently about the power of thinking, of thought. And again, that becomes a series of questions. What is thinking? And how do we wrap words around knowing what that is? And one of the things that we said is a way of thinking is the way we believe. Our beliefs our thoughts. They fall into this big umbrella of experiences. So today I want to look at what that means, what it means to believe, what it means to say, I believe. In fact, pause a moment right now. Close your eyes and say those words, I believe. And then listen for what comes up. What is it that comes up for you? I believe. And just notice. And you might notice throughout the week what it is that you believe, what comes up for you when you say those words. The dictionaries online give many different definitions for the word belief. Some of the synonyms or some of the words that are close in meaning is belief is an assumption. Oftentimes we don't notice what we're believing because we're unconsciously going with an assumption. Or it can be a conclusion based on evidence throughout our lives or just evidence today or experiences we've had. Our belief can be a position that we hold. And sometimes we get stuck in that position even when there's evidence that says, no, that's not the way it is. A belief can be our way of understanding a situation, a circumstance. Credence, it's what we give validity to. If we believe something, we will talk and act as if it's true. And the last one I like a lot, the last one on this list is mindset. Our beliefs, or that which I believe, creates my mindset as I move through any situation, any circumstance, in conversations, in my responses. My mindset has a tremendous influence on how I show up. Now those words, assumption, conclusion, position, understanding, credence, mindset, are just a small subset of the words that were offered on the online dictionary as far as words that have similar meanings, but it's a jumping off point. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, wrote that a belief is an inner acceptance of an idea as true. A belief is closely related to faith. It's not exactly the same thing, but they can be, in some circumstances, interchanged or exchanged. In fact, there are three words or three concepts that are related but yet meaningfully different. To believe, to have faith, and to know. Let's say my son is going off to a new venture. He's applying for a job, and I can honestly say I believe he is more than qualified for this job, and I believe that he would be good at a job like that. That is a belief. It's closely related maybe to my having faith that despite the competition, despite what's being said in this world of ours, that landing a job like that is very rare and difficult, I can have faith that despite these appearances, that despite these challenges, the job that he wants is his, that there is a power within him that he brings to the process of applying, interviewing, and so forth, that makes that job his own. So that's an experience of faith, close to my belief that he is qualified and competent and capable. However, if I were thinking about what I feel for my son. I would never say, I believe that I love him. Nor would I say, I have faith that I love him. I would simply be able to say, I love him because I know that. There is no need to believe. There's no need to have faith. I simply know that that is true. Can you feel the differences of degrees, although they're similar ideas? I believe that the power of God is acting in this world. I see evidence of an intelligence that is greater than anything I can imagine at work, creating the complexities, the intricacies, the inner relationships of this world. So I believe that God must exist because I don't see how any of this could have happened simply by random chance. So I believe that there is a power that is the source of all of this, whether I call this power God or Spirit or Father or the mystery, if you will. But I can also in my life have faith in this power and presence, that it can carry me through difficult situations, that presence and power is within me and around me as a source of strength, as a source of understanding. And I have faith that I can rely on this power and presence that I call God, which is very different from those experiences when I'm in deep meditation and I experience that presence of God within me, and I know the presence of God. I don't have to find evidence for this power and presence. I don't have to imagine relying on it. I simply know that God is, that wherever I am, God is. So closely related ideas, sometimes we interchange them, but today I want to focus on the first one, what it means to believe and what power we have through our beliefs, how we create our life experiences, how we create ourselves through what we believe. Anthony DeMello was a Catholic priest, born, raised, and lived in India. He was an author, a speaker, an inspirational speaker. And he wrote that there is only one cause of unhappiness: the false beliefs you have, beliefs so widespread, so commonly held, that it never occurs to you to question them. Our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, talked about race consciousness, and it's the consciousness of this human experience. It's the shared consciousness of the people of our culture. And the race consciousness is filled with beliefs that we don't even notice that we're holding, because we've been holding those beliefs so long. And everyone around us, or so many people around us, hold the same beliefs. They seem to be just a given. And some of these beliefs serve us well, and others limit us, others hold us down. So it's good to begin noticing some of the things that we hold, that we believe, and sometimes we don't capture our beliefs directly. We find clues to what we are believing by some of the thoughts we hold in mind, by some of the things that we say. For example, if only I had more money, I would be so much happier, because then I could travel, I could have a nicer home, a better car. I could work fewer hours, have more time to enjoy. If only I had more money, I would be happier. I've heard this. I've said it in my own head at times. And it's absolutely not true most of the time. Research has consistently showed that when there is a need for food and shelter, then increased resources make a difference and make us happy or happier. But once food and shelter are taken care of, increased money, increased wealth is absolutely not related to increased happiness. Every single study out there shows that. There might be momentary thrills or experiences, but as far as people being happier, money is not the reason. Or in our culture, in our race consciousness, it's common to think, when I get a promotion, I will be happier and I will do better in life. Or when I find the right person to be with, to love, then I will be happier, then I will be doing better. When I graduate, when I get this award, when I get the certificate, when I retire, on and on and on, there's this distant thing that I need to have in order to capture the joy, the happiness, the satisfaction that I'm wanting. These are beliefs that are related to our race consciousness, and we're not even aware most of the time that we're claiming these beliefs, that we're thinking through these beliefs. So one of the things that we can do is we're delving into this mystery and looking at the question of who am I and what is God and what does that mean in my life. We pay attention to our beliefs. We pay attention to the things we say to ourselves to get a sense of what those beliefs are. The beliefs in both of these cases is that right now, in this moment, there is not enough. There is some lack that is acting as an obstacle to my joy, to my happiness. Most of the time, that belief is not true. So it's good to be aware of if we're giving time and energy and attention to that belief of there is not enough, or maybe there is something that is not possible, not doable, not achievable. When these beliefs are held unconsciously, they still shape our life experience. They limit our joy. They limit our happiness. They limit our possibilities. Another example of beliefs that we hold as a result of our immersion in this human experience, as a result of the things that our culture teaches us to believe and to respond to. I think most people have heard of placebos. They're embedded in our medical research, the research on drugs and medications. And placebos in most medical research are the effects or the effects. The placebos are typically disregarded in research. Research is created in a way that the effect of the placebo can be ignored. And the placebo is the healing that is exhibited by someone that is not due to the medication, the surgery, the treatment that is provided. And the researchers work very hard to eliminate the placebo effect because it's a big effect. 30 to 40% of the improvement that is seen in these research studies is due to placebo. Instead of saying, oh wow, this is amazing that we have placebos that can do this, and let's see if we can tap into them better, the research is designed to eliminate whatever that meaning might be in that effect, to see what it is the drug is doing, or the surgery, or whatever the procedure is. But the way placebos work is when people are given a medication or a treatment, it is their belief that this medication works, or it is their belief in their doctor or their medical provider that that person is competent and knows what he or she is doing, and that trust in the medication, the procedure, the doctor, that faith, that belief in the procedure creates a healing effect. And it's done all the time, all the time. There are stories, and if we had weeks and weeks, we could talk about the stories of how people have had miraculous healing because of the placebo effect and what surrounded that and what led up to it. But there's another thing called the nocebo effect. And it's the opposite. It's the effect of when a person is told or given the information that there is no possibility of healing, or they're given a prognosis that they will be diminishing in their health over the next few months. And even when the practitioner, the doctor, the nurse, the provider makes a mistake in giving that information, oftentimes the person's health declines anyway because they believe the truth of what they were told. Again, we could spend a day sharing stories of examples of how that's happened. And then probably the most powerful of the race consciousness beliefs that we end up holding. This came from Mary Morrissey. She's a prosperity teacher, a minister, and she had a life experience in which, as a young girl, as a teenager, she was probably about 18, 19, she was given a very poor prognosis. Her one kidney was failing, and her good kidney wasn't going to last that much longer. She was facing surgery to have the failing kidney, either all or part of it, removed. And she was believing everything the doctors were telling her, because that's what we do. That's what our culture teaches us to do. Ultimately, the short version of the story is this: many, many years later, she wasn't supposed to have very many years to live, and she's lived a very long, productive, happy life, prosperous life. And she said part of what we need to do is to question sometimes the words and the pronouncements of the minor deities. And she says that's the real meaning of MD. Not that we need to disregard it, but not to believe blindly. Because what she learned was to believe something else other than what the minor deities in her life were telling her. And that was a big part, a central part of her healing. So changing beliefs can have a huge, huge impact on our health. I'm not suggesting to avoid medicine, not at all. It's just to include an awareness of what it is we believe as we go through a healing process, because those beliefs can make a difference either in helping our healing or preventing it. Ron Roth was a wonderful Catholic teacher, spiritual teacher. He wrote books. He was an author too. At Unity, we've read a couple of his books. He wrote that beliefs are the foundation, the building blocks for creating your life. And that's what we've been saying so far. So we're aligned with Ron Roth. Another thing that it's worth getting a sense of, paying attention to, noticing, are core beliefs. And this is from psychology. Core beliefs are the beliefs that we hold almost unconsciously, but they're the central ideas through which we know ourselves. They're the central ideas that we hold about ourselves. It's the lens through which we see every situation. When I worked as a psychologist, oftentimes when people were having ongoing challenges, psychological issues, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe a sense of helplessness, oftentimes what we would work on is to discover if there was a core belief that they kept falling back on without realizing it. Oftentimes those core beliefs are with us much of our lives. Common core beliefs when I was working as a psychologist were, I am worthless, I am sickly, I am weak, I don't belong, I'm not safe. If someone grew up in childhood and they were not safe, it can be difficult for that person as an adult to feel safe even when to feel unsafe, even when all the evidence says they are safe. So these core beliefs, and there's a long list of them, this is just an example. And so when a challenge comes up in a relationship, at work, and if the core belief is I am worthless, the experience of the challenge, instead of being something out there that needs a solution or needs a different approach, it becomes a feeling of deep woundedness within, because that core belief kicks in and all the pain associated becomes our experience. But core beliefs don't have to be negative. And I've shared this before. We have a little girl here at Unity of the Valley, and when she was just beginning to talk, her father told me that she would, every morning before she brushed her teeth, would look in the mirror and she would say, I am a beautiful child of God. So I am a beautiful child of God can be a core belief. Or I am capable, I am smart, I can handle things. There are core beliefs that are a source of strength and ability and success. Again, we need to become aware of core beliefs, and the ones that limit us, the ones that hurt us, the ones that hold us back, can be replaced with a more positive and more true core belief. I once worked with a little boy who was really struggling. He was a very smart young boy, but he was struggling with depression, anxiety. Doctors wanted to put him on medication. His parents didn't want that. And we looked at what was it that he was telling himself. And we worked with that. It was hard work for an 8-year-old boy. But he came into my office one day and he said, I know what you're trying to teach me. And he was smiling. He was energetic. He was in a completely different place. And I said, what is it? And he said, what I've been learning, what you've been teaching me, is that when I tell myself the truth, I'll be okay. Because in our work, we had been looking at his negative core beliefs and pointing out that they just were not true. So his insight with that big smile on his face is, I need to learn to tell myself the truth. So becoming aware of our core beliefs and changing the painful ones to positive ones almost always is changing from a belief that is not true to a belief that is much more true. So this work sometimes requires getting help, going to a counselor or maybe a close friend, but it's worth working at it. It's worth changing those beliefs. I love this story. I don't know who Rebecca Goodrich is. I don't know much about her, but this was on the internet with her name attached. And it's the story of a princess who once carefully kissed a porcupine just to be kind. And this porcupine began to think of himself as a prince. He then dressed like a prince, behaved like a prince, and announced himself to be a prince. The world then saw him as a prince. And so a porcupine prince he was. And it's the same way if we can kiss ourselves, if we can extend some love toward ourselves, if we can see the light that shines within us, if we can see the truth that shines through us, if we can see the amazing person that each of us is, then we can become a prince in our own life. We don't have to be porcupines, but we can become a prince. There's research that's been done since the 1960s, and the results are pretty consistent, that the beliefs that are held by teachers about their students have an influence, an impact on the success, on the well-being of the students that they teach. And many of the studies are conducted in such a way that teachers are given files with information about the children, and in the files are included test results, and if IQ tests were given, the IQs. And in the classroom, all of the children are actually equally matched in abilities and IQ and other capacities. But in the files that are given to the teachers, half of the students, their files say that they're very bright and successful in school, and the other half have files that say that they're struggling and they do not have the learning capacity of the other half. And sure enough, just this information given to the teachers has a huge impact on the success or failure of the students involved. I think they stopped doing this research this way just because of the negative impact it can hold. But this is true. If we see someone else as struggling, as incompetent, and if we have an influence on them, if we're important in their lives, then the impact on that person, whether a child or an adult, can change how they know themselves, how they move through their life, how they perform at tasks. On the other hand, when we see the light in someone, if we see them as a beautiful child of God, if we see them as smart and beautiful, then they will become that which we see. Dennis Waitley was motivational. He's still around. I believe he is. He would be in his 90s now. But he's known for a motivational program that he developed called The Psychology of Winning. And he said, if you believe you can, you probably can. If you believe you won't, you most assuredly won't. So I think Edison had a similar quote about whether you think you can or whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're right. So. And so to bring this to a conclusion, ultimately, the most important thing is to be aware of our beliefs and change them when it makes sense to change them. In the Gospel of Mark, chapter 9, verses 22 to 23, Jesus was approached by a man who brought his son, and the son was possessed by a demon. He had convulsions, or the father believed he was possessed by a demon, but he would have convulsions. And this was making the child's life, the family's life, miserable. And the man said to Jesus, "But if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us." And Jesus' response said, "If you can." You're putting that condition. You're asking if it's possible. You're asking if I can. And he said the important thing is to believe. If you can, everything is possible to one who believes. So we don't begin changing a circumstance with a doubt, with that question of if I can, I will. Just know that there is a pathway. There is a pathway to that joy, that love, that health, that healing, that prosperity that you're seeking. And so it is.
I find my greatest strength when I become still and enter the silence of my deepest being. I find my greatest strength when I become still and enter the silence of my deepest being. I find my greatest strength when I become still and enter the silence of my deepest being.
And so we go deeper into our time of meditation. I invite you to sit comfortably. Allow your breath to come easily and effortlessly. And for a little while, simply notice the movement of your breath. Notice how your breath feels when you breathe in and when you breathe out. Notice how each breath takes you deeper within. how each breath takes you just a little bit deeper, deep into that sacred space within you. That sacred space where you know, where you feel, where you experience the presence of God. And in that sacred space, you remember the words of Jesus. Everything is possible to one who believes. And silently you answer, I believe. I believe that wherever I am, God is. I believe. So claiming this belief, allow yourself to rest in that presence and that power that is God. Rest in that presence that you feel deep within you. I believe. I believe that wherever I am, God is. Holding those affirmations in your heart, allow yourself to gently and easily bring your attention back to this time and this place. Feel the ground beneath your feet. Take a nice, easy breath. And then join with me in saying, thank you. Thank you, God. Amen.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Now we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Now peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally.
And now please join me in our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. We are one holy family. We celebrate our oneness and honor our diversity.
And so as we bring this spiritual gathering to a close, let us join in a closing affirmation, and I invite you to hold this affirmation in your mind and in your heart throughout the week. I believe in amazing possibilities. One more time. I believe in amazing possibilities. And so it is.
Everybody got a little something only you can bring. It's impossible to put it all together. Need every piece to make it complete, yeah. Every note to make a symphony. All the voices singing harmony. All the colors of the rainbow shining. Everyone, everyone. Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes to a world with a little more love. Little more love, oh yeah. Never feel you're insignificant, like a tiny little grain of sand. What you do, what you say makes a difference. Go ahead and reach out your hand. Open the door, say hello. A stranger today, you might get to know 'em. Little love just keeps on growing. Change your life without even knowing. Say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes. It takes everyone, everyone, everyone to make a world with a little more love. Little more love. Oh yeah.
It doesn't matter where you come from, gender or race, spiritual beliefs or orientation. Everyone has got the same motivation. Love is love, the same situation. Give love and help one another. In this world, there's only each other. One blood, the human